Hello, Art on Twist, and welcome back to Raw Recap and Review. This is the episode for March 23rd, 2026 in Boston, Massachusetts, and this is part 2. So if you haven't seen part 1, I ain't gonna be playing with you, man. Just click up there, bro. Just click up there. I don't even want to, like, really beef with you. Why ain't you watched part 1 yet? Man, this is my problem with them, bro. Like, they know they gotta watch part 1 first. If you have seen part 1, welcome back, man. We left off with Paul Heyman getting Seth Rollins arrested, but now we're on to our third match of the night, which is the Kabuki Warriors, Kairi Sane and Asuka versus Lyra Valkyria and Bayley. With the match, we get Bayley and Asuka to start the match off. They're circling around, and then at least the Kairi trying to distract Bayley, and it works. At least the Asuka dragging Bayley down by her hair down to take the finish. Then not multiple punches on her while she's on the ground. And at least Bayley then fighting back and tagging Lyra in. Lyra gets in the ring, headlocks Asuka, and then tags in Bayley. That at least Bayley to get into the ring, hitting big clothesline down there, and then a clothesline down on the ground. Goes for the pin. Kick out from Asuka. That leads to Bayley on the outside of the ring, trying to do the jump through rope maneuver onto Asuka, but Kairi Sane pulls Asuka out of the way. Asuka actually gets mad at Kairi. She said, "Get up!" Like she starts yelling at her, "Get away from me!" But Bayley tries to take advantage of that, tries to punch Asuka. She catches her though and hits Bayley with a big knee. That leads to Lyra trying to get involved with Kairi, but Kairi knocks down Lyra, and she puts Bayley back in the ring. And the Kabuki Warriors get into the ring, and then both do dueling combos onto Bayley, and then finish it off with sliding drop kicks. At least in the aura farming on the middle ropes. At least to a commercial break. We get back from the commercial break with Bayley trying to get away from Kairi, trying to do a hot tag, but Kairi grabs her leg. That leads to her flipping over and then kicking Kairi off of her into Asuka, who's in the ring. That leads to a big argument between the Kabuki Warriors, and while they're distracted, it's time to get in a hot tag. Her gets into the ring with a big top rope crossbody onto the Kabuki Warriors. She gets up and then hits an enziguri on Asuka, and then hits a big clothesline on Kairi, and then picks her up and hits her with a big power bomb down on the ground. Goes for the pin. 1, 2. Kick out from Kairi. She's still in the match. Now at least the Lyra trying to keep the momentum going. She picks up Kairi for the vertical suplex. She's stalling, trying to go down, but Kairi reverses that into a DDT, which leads to her going on to grabbing Lyra and then tagging in Asuka. Asuka gets into the ring, big code breaker onto Lyra, and she's still holding her down while she's on the ground. And then Kairi jumps over into the ring with a blockbuster onto Lyra, like a flip over, grabs her and slam her down on the ground. And that gets a pin. 1, 2. Kick out from Lyra this time down. That leads to Asuka grabbing Lyra, Irish whipping into the corner, but Lyra does a backflip while she hits the corner over Asuka, and then hits her with a spinning heel kick. And that leads to her to have an advantage. She ends up picking up Asuka, going over to her corner where Bayley is, tags in Bayley, hits Asuka with a fisherman buster. Bayley goes to the top rope, hits the Macho Man elbow drop, dig it. But we get a kick out from Asuka. At least Bayley trying to do another double team move on Asuka. She tags in Lyra, but as it's happening, Asuka hits a German suplex onto Bayley, and that leads to Asuka trying to get over to her side, trying to get a tag, but the tag gets stopped by Lyra. Into Asuka then kicking the daylights out of Lyra, and then tagging Kairi into her corner, and then that leads to putting Lyra into the tree of woe position. Kairi gets on the top rope, big corner stump with the 2 feet onto Lyra. Nasty move every time. I don't know how they take that bump. And she goes for the pin. 1, 2. The hugger. Bayley gets into the ring, stops the pin, but Asuka stops all that with a big roundhouse kick to Bayley. That leads to Bayley going outside the ring. That leads to Asuka going to the outside, trying to stop Bayley, but Bayley catches her. Bayley to Bayley, which is a belly to belly suplex onto the announce table. She puts on the announce table. She's real aggressive. Goes to the barricade. Climbs on top of it. Try to hit an elbow drop. She missed though because Kairi pulls Asuka out the way, and that leads to another argument between Asuka and Kairi. They're holding on to each other. That leads to Lyra is still in the ring. She runs out, does the suicide basement drop kick down to Kairi. She goes outside the ring, picks up Kairi, put her back in the ring, and then hits her with the Nightwing. 1, 2, 3. Big dub for Lyra Valkyria and Bayley. I don't have a tag team name for them. They don't have a name. I'm just gonna call them the Bird Huggers. Good win for the Bird Huggers, and they instantly get an interview with Jackie Redmond. She's in the ring, and Bailey says we don't feel no pressure after we done beat one of the best tag teams in the business. And Lyra gets the mic and says she knows that they're the ones that can beat the champions, Last Legend and Nia Jax. And he says, you know what? We challenge y'all to a match next week, and they're gonna be fighting them for the tag team titles next week. So you can obviously tell they're kind of building towards a multi-women tag team match at WrestleMania, and hopefully it'll be a ladder match. It'll be intriguing. I just love multi people ladder matches. It's always a fun car crash. But overall, I give that match a 4-star match. Good back and forth between the women. Lyra and Bailey look strong going into that little beef between all the other tag teams. And then we get a backstage segment with Asuka and Kyrie, and Asuka blames her for the loss. He tells her to make it up to her, and she walks off. And Io Sky pops up, tries to console Kyrie. She says, me and you had our beef and everything, but you don't deserve to be treated like this. Instead of Kyrie, Kyrie's like, I don't know what to do. She runs off, and at least the Raquel walking up to Io and then calling her pathetic mentions how she ruined her chance to beat Stephanie last week. And Io goes, and I do it again. She's like, oh, you will do it again? Okay, you know what? Why don't you fight me next week? And Io says, bet. So they're going to be fighting next week. Another match reveal for that. Then we get another segment backstage. It's Adam Pearce now. He's welcoming Speed to WWE. They're talking back and forth. And then Danhausen pops up. And he mentions how Speed has all these millions of followers and everything. He says, why don't you let me have your password? Then it can be a dual channel, and we can both split the money. And Speed's like, no, we're not gonna do that. He said, you think you're better than me? You don't want to work with me? He said, you know what? You are cursed. And Speed like, cursed? I was like, why is Speed here? Is Speed from Boston? Is Speed a Bostonian? I don't know why he's here. But shout out to iShow Speed, man. He got killed by Braun Breaker at the 2 years ago Royal Rumble. That was crazy. But now we're on to our last match of the evening. It's not the main event, though, because we're going to have more after this. But we get Penta, Intercontinental Champion, versus ex-champion, Dirty Dom, Dominic Mysterio. Dominic, with his entrance, he's walking out with Liv Morgan. And out of nowhere, Stephanie Vaquer attacks Liv Morgan, knocks her down to the ground, and then tries to get some more ground and pound. Dom obviously tries to stop Stephanie, and Stephanie goes, bow! Elbows Dom. I'm like, yo, she going crazy. She started trying to hit on Dom, but Liv fight back. She started punching on Stephanie, throw her into the stage area. They start holding each other and then walk back to Gorilla. They fight back and forth in Gorilla. Liv run up, try to jump on Stephanie. Stephanie catch her, boom, slam on the ground, and the sound was nasty too. I was like, ooh, I know that hurt. And that leads to the security and everybody separating them. They get Stephanie away, and then we end up with Liv yelling as it happens, and that led to a commercial break. What a way to start this main event match sequence going on. We get back from the commercial break. Dom is in the ring now because obviously he was that, and then Penta does a little entrance. Then they start doing the championship introductions, but Dom has not having he punches Penta while the introductions are happening, and then the referee stops him, separates him. Then he rings the bell, and then the match is officially started, and he goes over to the corner, hits him again, and then starts hitting with multiple kicks down onto the corner while he's on the ground. And then he ends up Irish whipping Penta outside the corner and hits it with a big clothesline. He picks up Penta again, tries to go for the Irish whip again, but this time Penta reverses it with a hurricanrana of his own. Then he hits a total world backbreaker onto Dom and hits him with a super kick. Then hits him then throws him to the corner, to the turnbuckle. Big Enziguri corner kick to him, and then lands a stalling basement drop kick down onto Dom. He getting a whole bunch of offense on him right now. At least the Penta trying to get more offense in, but he gets stopped by Dom, who ends up drop kicking Penta, and Penta go outside the ring, and then Dom does a suicide tornado DDT onto Penta, and that's how we get to a commercial break. we get back from we get back with Dom trying to do an Irish whip on Penta. He tries to drop down for the back body drop, but Penta kicks him instead, and then kicks him in the leg, and then hits him with the reverse sling blade. This is basically he catches his head while spinning and slams him down to the ground. Dom being outside the ring. Penta then proceeds to hit him with a tope con hilo, which is basically a front flip over the top rope to the outside. He gets Dom back into the ring, goes to the top rope, hits the diving crossbody, and then he picks up Dom, hits him with a suplex, goes for the pin. 1, 2, Dom kicks out of it. Now Penta's trying to get the match over, tries to go for the Penta driver, but Dom gets out of it at first, but he grabs him back again, flips him over, Penta driver on the ground, goes for the pin. 1, 2, another kick out from Dom. He got resiliency with it. And that leads to Penta going, it's time for the Mexican Destroyer. When he runs up to Dom, Dom catches him. Michinoku driver on the ground. He goes for the pin. 1, 2, kick out from Penta. He's still in the ring. That leads to Dom going, it's time to dial it up. He tries to go for the 619. He gets Penta to the rope, but then but when he runs the rebound on the rope to get over there, big super kick by Penta. Penta tries to get the advantage on Dom though, but at least JD McDonough, part of the Judgment Day, gets on the apron to distract Penta. That leads to Dom getting the advantage, smacking Penta from behind, knocking him down onto the ropes, hits him with the 619, goes to the top rope, and then we hear, we get Finn Balor. He pop up and Dom like on the top rope. That leads to JD running up to Finn. Finn ain't having it. Boom, knock that man down, slam him into the stage, throw him over there near the some storage boxes over to the left side. While Dom is distracted, Penta's still laying on the ring trying to get better. Dom then goes to land the frog splash, but he gets reversed into a pin. 1, 2, 3. Penta retains the championship. I give that match a 4.5. I give that match a 4 stars. And the reason I give it a 4 stars match is because all the chaos before the match actually happened. I enjoyed the chaos. If it didn't have the chaos, I'd probably be a 3.5, because it was a pretty entertaining match, good back and forth. And now we have a thing that leads on to Penta having new challengers. After the match happens, Penta dips, and that leads to Finn running down to the ring and then chasing Dom, grabs Dom, start whooping on that boy. He starts hitting with the vintage Balor moves, hits him with a sling blade, shotgun dropkick to the corner. That leads them trying to land a coup de grace, but JD grabs Dom's legs, pulls him outside the ring. But Finn ain't done with them. He proceeds to hit his own tope con hilo onto the Judgment Day. That leads to Finn trying to fight with Dom, but as JD tries to stop it, he hits JD with an elbow. That leads to Dominic getting the advantage to be able to run away from Finn. But Finn ain't done with him. He got to get more moves in. Hits the shotgun dropkick onto JD, goes to the top rope and hits him with the coup de grace on JD. And then looks at Dom and starts war farming. And even though that was the last match, that's not the main event of the evening. The main event of the evening is talking. We get the best in the world, CM Punk. We actually get a view of him from Gorilla Walking, and Jimmy is at the pathway telling him, hey man, you need to apologize. And I know you're not, but you need to be very weary of the words you say, because my brother Jay, he on go. He not playing around. That Punk does his entrance. He goes, y'all want to have fun tonight? And he gets into the ring. He mentions how he asks the crowd, did they see what happened with Jimmy earlier? And he says that goes on to show that, again, Roman can't do anything without his cousins. And he even says his cousins can't do anything without Roman. Now, everyone in that family have one thing in common. They can't do anything by themselves. And he also mentions how, last week when Roman basically gave out a green light on me to all the Samoans, he said, ever since that, ain't one Samoan looked at me crazy, ain't one Samoan put a finger on me, none of them, ain't none Samoan has messed with me. He mentions how wrestling is the shit talk business. He gonna say awful and terrible things to get people to get the buy rates up on the show. That's what he gonna do. He strive for that. But he says, you know what? After all this, I'm tired of talking. He want to fight, man. He want to get straight to it. But he will. But he does admit though. He does admit that last week he got pissed off. He got pissed off because Roman called him old. That led him to go and say, you know what? He says, I'm not going to let my young boy come out here and disrespect me like that and call him old. That's why he was mad. And then he goes, you know what? He goes into the crowd. He says, you ask the crowd, you know, am I old? And everybody, you get over to, yeah, no, yeah, no. And he says, you know what? And he says, you know, I'd be lying to tell you guys that I'm not old. But he says he doesn't have a problem being old. He's not ashamed of being old. He's proud of being old. He did at least him to mention old people in their professions that were very elite, like a pitcher named Nolan Ryan, who was like really old, still getting no hitters. And he goes on to say, like, if he was embarrassed of being old, he would color his beard, just like Roman Reigns does. And I was like, ooh, Roman do be coloring that beard in. He do be coloring that beard. then he goes on to get his classic again. He said he hits him with the, isn't it great to be alive in Boston on a Monday night or what? Gotta get the shtick in, you know. And then he mentions that with Roman. He says, you know, what's funny? Like, this old man knocked you down with one punch. And also, this old man is going to beat you at WrestleMania. And he says, you know, and then he said, you know, you keep underestimating me. But, like, even though you underestimate me, it's people that don't underestimate me, and I still beat them. Like Gunther. And he says, yeah, he didn't underestimate me. And all you know who else didn't underestimate me? Jey Uso didn't underestimate me. And Jey Uso pops out bad. He's fiending. And as he's walking down, Punk's making jokes. He said, what is he gonna do? Yeet me to death? At least Jay walking down the ring. He's trying to get into the ring, and Punk's like, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? You want to talk or you want to fight? You want to talk? You want to fight? He's like, man. He's like, let me get in. They get into the ring. He's pacing around the ring, and he said, you know what, Punk? You is old. You up here running your damn mouth about me, about my family. And he said, you know what, Punk? We can fight right now. And they about to squabble, but Jimmy Uso pops out. And Jimmy's like, man, what are you doing out here, Jay? He said, and Punk like, yeah, what is he doing? He said, Punk, I ain't talking to you. I ain't talking to you. He goes on and say, you know what, man, you need to. He tells Jay, you know, you need to calm down, man. You know, when you get mad, you don't start using your brain. You don't start thinking. He said, you already done made us lose the match against the Vision. Now we gotta defend the belts. And Jay's like, man, I don't care about them belts. I don't really care about that belts. He said, man, he said, man, like, you talking about all this, like, we talking about all this, like, bro, Roman not here. So I'm going to go handle it. Let me go fight this man right now. And that leads to the OTC. The OTC pops out. Long, like straight walk down to the ring. Big face off with Punk. He gets over. Looks at his cousins. He goes, you know, Jimmy, you had a match tonight, right? He said, yeah. And the match is over, right? He said, yeah. So I'm going to say this as respectfully as possible. Why don't you go get your brother and get out of my ring? And that man, and you know, Punk goes on to talk. He keep talking. Punk going to talk, and that leads to Jay snapping. Jay snaps, runs over there, tries to fight Punk, but Punk knocks him down. That leads to Jimmy then having a tug of war with Punk while the tug of war is happening. Roman hits the Superman punch onto Punk, knocks him down. The security and everybody gets into the ring. The Usos are getting taken away back. And while Roman's about to leave the ring, Jay's like, nah, man, you know what you need to do, man. Go get that man. Go get him. At least the Roman. Big spear onto Punk. He getting hyped. He geeked in the ring. He going, ah. He kicks Punk out the ring. He rolls to the outside, grab Punk, throw that man to the ring post about like 2 times. But he ain't done though. He picked up that man Punk, powerbomb to the announce table, and he geeked. He's getting right, and Roman looks strong heading out the way. But Punk, as he's down on that announce table, he's laughing. He's like, I don't need no help. I don't need no help. I'm like, bro, Punk, you just got belt the ass, man. So Roman, right now has the highest momentum to get the win at WrestleMania right now. I can't wait to see their match, man. I'm very intrigued at what they're gonna do. But that is the end of part two, because that is the end of the show. If you enjoyed the video, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also, be able to make sure to check out my CM Punk WWE 2K26 showcase, which should probably be up here too as well. Also be another showcase episode coming out this Thursday, so be sure to check that one out. Yeah, another W episode from Raw, giving it a thumbs up. Great Raw. I can't wait for next week's Raw at Madison Square Garden. It's gonna be fire. I'm Twist. I'm out.